Alright, part 3.
What we see in biochemistry confirms in the beginning God. Isn't it exciting being a Christian? It really is. Dr. Dawkins has a blind faith. As Christians, we don't have a blind faith. Students, don't get the idea that Christians have a blind faith. Ours is not a blind faith, because if the Bible really is a revelation from God...
Okay, apparently he's not doing the whole Christians have blind faith, but we have blind faith too, so it's not so bad. Or, sorry, evolutionists have blind faith, and we have blind faith too, it's not so bad. Apparently he is trying to take the high ground and say
and he's given us the true history here and where things came from and what life is all about. It'll make sense of the...
Once again, you weren't there. By your definition of observational science, the Bible is not proof of anything. There is no proof that it is factual in its entirety. Now, I don't doubt that there are a couple factual things in the Bible. It is possible. And it is likely. But many things in the Bible have been proven wrong. And this man is sitting up here at his fucking podium trying to say, oh, there's no evidence for evolution, when he isn't showing any of the evidence for evolution and refuting it. He's just saying there's no evidence. Which is bullshit. Why is there a cat mowing? What do you want? What, Poe? What do you want? I know you have food. I know you have water. Shoo. What? Oh, my cat is so needy. What? What do you want? What do you want, Poe? Go. I'm making a video. Go. Alright. Let's continue.
The world, and it does, and science, true observational science, will confirm the Bible's history, and it does, over and over again.
No. Would you like to actually give some evidence of that? Because... no.
But then how do we answer questions like this? I remember I was at one conference, a little boy, I think he was about 7 years old, who came up to me and he said, Mr. Ham, yes, well, who made God? Oh, don't you just love those questions? And from a little boy like that, so how am I going to answer that? So I looked at him and said, well, son, if somebody made God, that'd have to be a bigger God who made God. Would that be right? Oh, yes, sir. Well, if you've got a bigger God who made God, then who made the bigger God? You have to have a bigger God who made the bigger God who made God, right? Oh, yes, sir. Well, who made the bigger God? You'd have to have a big...
Which is exactly why your argument for design is bullshit.
Bigger God who made the bigger God who made the bigger God who made God, right? Oh, yes, sir. Do you know the only thing that makes sense, son? What's that, sir? You gotta have the biggest God of all. An infinite creator God. It's the only thing that makes...
Yeah. And your whole thing is everything must have a designer. So where's the designer for your big God, huh? It's just special pleading. That's all it is.
It's logical sense. Young people, you learn...
All the rules are made by me, but this thing that I made, it doesn't abide by the rules.
In a school about the laws of nature. Why are there laws that are the same today and tomorrow? If it's a random universe, it can be...
Okay, again, this is conflating the definitions of the word law. There are multiple definitions for words, for many words in the English language, and to just fuse them all together is dishonest and bullshit.
About random processes. Why do we have the laws of nature? How can you trust them? Why do we have the laws of logic? If it's a random universe, why have the laws of logic? How do you know that your logic is the right logic, that it evolved the right way? How do you know that you're really under...
That's why logic is not the end-all be-all. You can be completely logical, but if you start based on faulty information, your conclusion will be faulty.
Understanding somebody else the way you need to. See, the only thing that makes logical sense is a biblical God.
Nope. Care to give literally any evidence of that? Because that'd be really fun. I could actually refute it. Other than just saying, you're positing your words as fact without ever any proof. Like, it's bullshit.
In fact, non-Christians and atheists like Richard Dawkins have to borrow from biblical principles to do their scientific research because he believes in the laws of nature. And he believes in the laws of logic, which only makes sense in the context of a biblical God. Isn't it?
The process of the scientific method has nothing to do with biblical processes. Absolutely nothing.
Exciting being a Christian? Think about it. The Bible is true. God's word is true. Well, another question I'm often asked, how could Noah fit all the species of animals on the ark? Actually, the Bible doesn't say Noah took all the species of animals on the ark. The Bible, first of all, tells us that Noah was to take the land-dwelling, air-breathing animals on the ark, not all the animals on earth, just the...
Okay, and I have a question for you. First of all, where are all the dead bodies of all the birds? Because birds can't just fly and fly and fly forever, so you'd have a very... Like, you'd see this in the fossil evidence. You'd see that literally all the species of birds died off. All virtually around the same time. We don't see that. And if that happened, riddle me this. How are there birds today? How are there birds today if all of them died off because they didn't have anywhere to land?
The land animals, and secondly, it doesn't say species, doesn't use the word species. Can anyone tell me what word it uses? Kind. You see, in Genesis chapter 1, when God created...
Okay, first of all, that's bullshit. Kind, it's just, like, really, though, if you're gonna go on about kinds, like... How many kinds are there, then? Because I bet with the kinds that you, like, state, I'd be willing to bet that I could find an animal that you couldn't place in one of those kinds. And if it's by kinds, are you gonna say that evolution is possible within those kinds? Because if you only took two dogs, like two dogs on the ark, where the fuck did all the other dog breeds come from, Ken Ham? If you took two dogs and then no wolves were on the ark, where the fuck did the wolves come from, Ken Ham?
The animals and plants. He says he created them after his kind, after their kind. The implication here is that each kind...
I find it really dumb that he's putting all of the, like, Bible verses out of a typewriter. It seems really dumb to me, because it's not what we use today to make copies of the Bible. It certainly wasn't what we used to make copies of the Bible back when it was first, like, created. It just, like, it seems out of place here, you know?
Produces its own kind. In your biology classes, you study classification, phylum, class, order. What's the next one? Family, genus, species. The Hebrew word for kind probably equates, in most instances, to what's called a family level of classification. When it comes to dogs, there's only one family of dogs, and they're called...
I bet he's gonna say canine here. Which, there are a lot of things under canine, not just dogs. foxes, wolves, coyotes. So where did those come from? If it's the dog kind, where did all of these, like, where did the foxes come? Where did the coyotes come? Where did the wolves come? If they just took two dogs on the ark.
Called dogs. So there's only one kind of dog, and it's called dog.
Back in 2022, I lost two very important people in my life.
Really,
big figures. It really wasn't until February.
In other words, you'd expect to find dogs reproducing dogs, cats reproducing cats, elephants reproducing elephants. Do you know what the secularists say about domestic dogs, for instance? They say the origin of the domestic dogs from wolves.
Who was this?
Secularists say about domestic dogs, for instance. They say the origin of the domestic dogs from wolves has been established, suggesting a common origin from a single gene pool for all dog populations. Even secularists would say that something like a wolf gave rise eventually to something like that.
So, no. That's like calling a cousin your parent. Or sorry, that's like calling your sister your parent. That's not how that works. They shared a common ancestor. Dogs did not come from wolves. They shared a common ancestor, which was distinct from both of them.
Poodles. People say, how could that give rise to that? Is that evolution? No, because evolution really should be more of, adding new information. What we see here is I'm
sorry, but does a fucking pug look like a wolf to you? That's new information, motherfucker.
Incredible loss of information, actually. I want you to understand, established, suggesting a common origin from a single gene pool for all dog populations. Even secularists would say that something like a wolf gave rise eventually to something like that. Poodles. People say, how could that?
Okay, and we also have evidence of this in the genetic information. We can see in the genetics of dogs and of wolves that they came from a common ancestor.
Give rise to that. Is that evolution? No, because evolution really should be more of, adding new information. What we see here is an incredible loss of information, actually.
Okay, that's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. Because if you look at, like, what do I want to use as an example here? Alright, let's go with the curly tails of pugs. That's a gain of information. Do you see wolves with tails that curly? That's a gain of information. Okay. We're not looking at a gain here. We're looking at a difference. In reality, in genetics, there is never really a gain. You're not going to see, an extra letter in there, as far as I know. What you're going to see is you're going to see a change in a nucleotide base. You're going to see a change in which nucleotide base that is. My cat's fighting? What the fuck? You're going to see a change in those nucleotide bases. And what the fuck? Do I have to break up? What is with all of the fucking distractions today? I'm gonna end this part here. Go take care of that.